Hello, this is D, and I'm back with another video. Today, we're going to talk about Tim Dog leaving Xbox and going over to the PlayStation side. Now, recently, Tim Dog, he has been very dissatisfied with Xbox, and I think the last straw for Tim was when he found out that the exclusive that Xbox has, that a lot of them will be going over to the PlayStation, and he just couldn't take it anymore. Now, I gotta be honest with you guys, it was really shocking to a lot of people because Tim Dog has been a day one Xbox guy. You know, he's been associated with Phil Spencer. He's gone to all of the events. You know, you guys seen 1,000 memes with Tim Dog representing Xbox. So you know that he was an Xbox guy through thick and thin, and this was just it for him. He decided to give PlayStation a chance. Now, I gotta be honest with you guys, I didn't really know that Tim didn't really have anything PlayStation at all. I always assumed that he had a PlayStation and maybe he just played it a little bit, didn't play it a lot. Apparently, he's going all in. He's getting the headset, he's getting the PSVR headset, and he's diving in head first, and he's gonna give them a chance. And honestly to tell you, he's gonna experience some new things. He's gonna experience some new games. He's gonna experience a different level of quality. Now, a lot of Xbox guys, they get mad at me when I talk like this. They say, why are you saying this? Xbox has quality games. I'm not saying that Xbox doesn't have quality games. They absolutely do. But when it comes to the Sony top tier quality, Xbox simply just isn't there yet. Yes, they have a few games like Forza Horizon is top quality. I like Gears of War. I think that is a top quality game. Flight Sim, to this day, I don't see any game on the consoles that beats that graphically. Now, a lot of people say it's a flight simulator, so it's kind of disqualified because it's not like a full moving game. Well, to me, it's a full moving game, and I think it has some of the best graphics that I've ever seen. Now, we know that Xbox is releasing Hellblade 2 later this month, and I have no doubt that that will probably be the best looking game on console to date. Now, the problem is that Microsoft doesn't have enough of these titles, and Sony has a lot of these titles. So Tim Dog in his post, he said he's all in PlayStation. I said, wow, you really are. And I have to say this, Tim, they do have the better games, and PSVR 2 is dope. And then that was pretty much it. They all came for my head and they're like, oh, it's subjective and this and that. And, you know, I gotta argue with some of these guys. I don't really think it's subjective at this point. When you got PlayStation outselling Xbox 3-1, 4-1 in some regions, they're just outselling them. Their exclusives are outselling them, and they have more first-party exclusives. I don't understand where people get it twisted. Now, Sony overall, I said it has more variety. A lot of people didn't like that I said that. Now, the first-party games, I might say that Xbox has a little bit more variety in their actual first-party games. But Sony gets third-party games, gets them exclusive rights on their platform for a year, 2 years, sometimes 3 years in the case of like Final Fantasy games, where these games are only on PlayStation and not on Xbox. And yes, they're not a traditional first-party game, but nonetheless, they are exclusive to the PlayStation platform. So that's where I say they have a lot more variety. Now, some may argue, no, Xbox has a lot of variety. Now, I'm talking about quality variety games. Yes, Xbox might have a lot of little niche games in their indie departments, but they're not good games. They're not games that people are playing. That is my point. And if they were games that people were playing, Xbox wouldn't be getting outsold 3-1. And by me saying this, doesn't mean that I hate Xbox and that I'm going to stop playing Xbox. I enjoy my Xbox. I mostly play sports games on it these days, to be honest with you guys, because all the other Xbox exclusives, I can play them on my PC. My PlayStation has always been an exclusive box machine. I don't play my multiplats on my PlayStation. I play the exclusive titles. Now, I made the argument that the PlayStation 5 Pro is coming out later this year. And when the PlayStation 5 Pro comes out, it's going to be the best place to play your multi-plat games. And that is definitely going to hurt the Xbox bottom line. Now, if I'm buying a console, am I going to buy the Xbox Series X? Or I'm going to pay, say, $100 more and get the PlayStation 5 Pro that's going to play all of the multi-plats better and it has all those exclusives. And the exclusives that are on the PlayStation will get an upgrade in performance and graphics by playing them on the PlayStation 5 Pro. I really do believe that the Xbox is going to have some problems if it's true that their refresh is not more powerful, that it's just a digital version of the Xbox Series X. So that's pretty much it on my rant on that. So let's just get into what people were actually saying when I actually said this. Now, Risk It for the Biscuit, he's a good guy and he's allowed to have his opinion. And I think we should be able to have a difference in opinions without people getting so upset and wanting to darn well just go at each other. I can have a different opinion and we can hash it out in a debate. So please, nobody go and say anything to Risk It. We're having a respectful debate and just a difference of opinion. Now, he goes on to say it's absolutely wild seeing this all go down. The RDX crew switching sides and saying that they've got the better everything. No shade, I got love for both of y'all, but it's a damn shame. Do I want to see the exclusivity go? No. Will exclusivity always be important to the platform? Yes. And this was my response to telling Tim that they do have the better games on the platform, that the PSVR is dope. Now, I went on to respond to him saying, listen, I have both. The PlayStation does have the better games and has way more variety. Now, when I say way more variety, I say way more variety in quality games, in the games that I would actually play. I'm sure a lot of people like Pentiment, and I know that's now on the PlayStation, but that's not the game for me. That's not the game that I'm gonna go around shouting at the top of the hills that this is, the creme de la creme. It's just not. I don't care for that game. If you enjoy that game, that's fine. It's not for me. Now, PlayStation, you have Final Fantasy. Yes, they don't make Final Fantasy. They're money hiding it. They're paying for the exclusivity on their platform. But it's on their platform. If you want to play those games, that's where you got to go to play the newest Final Fantasy games. It is what it is. How are people discounting Spider-Man? We got Spider-Man, we had Spider-Man 2, we had Spider-Man Miles Morales. Like, what are we doing here? God of War. What are we doing here? Even Gran Turismo. And I don't think Gran Turismo is as good as Forza Horizon, but it is still a good game. Like, let's just not cap here. Sony has a lot of bangers. They have The Last of Us. Yes, they remastered it and put it on the PlayStation, but it's a game that's not available on the Xbox. I think that PlayStation has the better quality games. And that's just the bottom line. I just really feel that. And if I was so wrong, why are they being outsold in so many regions? Because if Xbox had the better games, if it had the more varied games, people would be playing on that platform. And don't bring up this Xbox tax nonsense, because gamers are fickle. They're going to go where the best games are and where the exclusives are. They just are. That's just the way it goes. Now, Risk It answered more variety. I gotta objectively say no. I think that the games are better, and that's subjective. They have good games, and so does Xbox. They had a good cadence, but that's now gone. If Xbox gets their cadence right going forward, regardless of the numbers, it'll be the better system of the two. Now, first of all, it's not going to be the better system of the two when the PlayStation 5 Pro is coming out this year, first of all. And the cadence, I don't know what you're talking about. Sony this year has dropped an exclusive, first party or not, on their platform every month. And we're going to get into the difference of games, and you guys can decide for yourself. But I just don't think that holds true. Now, do I think Xbox will get their cadence right? I absolutely do. They have all of those studios, and they're going to be working in unison. They're going to be working like a big machine, and they will be pumping out games eventually. And I think that the Xbox will be better for it. Definitely. But is it happening at this moment in time? No, it is not. The biggest game that we have to look forward to is coming out later this month. It is Hellblade 2, and it's running at 30 FPS on the Xbox console. Now, I gotta be honest with you guys, I am looking forward to playing that game, but I'm gonna be playing it on PC. I'm not gonna be playing it on Xbox at 30 FPS. And I understand why it's at 30 FPS on the console. I saw another post, and I was gonna do a video on it, but we'll talk about it here. I saw a post out there saying that Hellblade 2 can reach 60 FPS. It's just the developers. No, it cannot. That game is a resource hog. Have you seen how that game looks? In order to get it running at 30 FPS, they have to run it between 1080p and 1440p at a dynamic resolution. And they're also using black bars in order to get this running at 30 FPS. So, like, what are we doing here? It's not going to be running at 60 FPS on the Xbox Series X unless you want this game running at like 500p. And even then, I don't know if this game could run at 60 FPS on the Xbox consoles. And that goes for the PlayStation 5 as well. If this game was on the PlayStation 5, it would be performing at 30 FPS too, because the hardware, it just can't run a game like Hellblade 2 at 60 FPS. And when this game comes out, and you guys actually see the graphic fidelity of this game, then you guys will really understand. Now let's go into the PC settings. I'm gonna Google it here. PC settings of Hellblade 2. Okay, so we have it on the screen here. For minimum settings on Hellblade 2, this is low at 1080p. You need an Intel i5 8400 with an AMD Ryzen 3 2600 and a GTX 1070 or an AMD RX 570 or an Intel GPU. 6 gigabytes of VRAM system, 16 gigabytes storage, 7 gigabytes of SSD storage. Now, when we go to medium at 1080p, it's an i5 9600, Ryzen 3 3600, NVIDIA RTX 2070, AMD RX 5700 XT, or an Intel Arc A580. Now, 8 gigabytes of VRAM, 16 gigabytes of system RAM, and of course, the storage is the same at 70 gigabytes on an SSD. Now, recommended at high is an i7, a Ryzen 5, which clears the CPU on the Xbox and PlayStation 5 for the record. You're going to need an RTX 3080 or a 6800 XT or an Intel Arc A70. This is for high at 1440p. So the CPU clears the Xbox. The GPU clears the Xbox. And this is high settings. So it's kind of understandable why this game is running at 30 FPS on the consoles. If you want this running at high 4K settings, they recommend a 4080 and up or a 7900 XTX with an i5 12th generation CPU or a Ryzen 7 5700X, which by far clears the consoles. So I just don't like when console gamers throw out these numbers, like all these games can run at 60 FPS and it's just a developer's problem. There's some games that are CPU heavy and that they're just not ever going to run at 60 FPS on the consoles. Now, thankfully, this generation, not a lot of games are actually CPU bound. They're GPU bound. So it's not all bad news. But at the same time, 4 years in, let's not make the Xbox Series X more than it actually is. It is a very capable machine. I think that Xbox fans are going to be happy with the graphic fidelity that Hellblade 2 provides. But it's on the Series X and the CPU is not great. The game is demanding. Unreal Engine 5 games on the consoles, the games that are running everything like at the highest fidelity or close to it, are going to run at 30 FPS on the consoles. That's why I believe that Microsoft should have had a mid-generation refresh, and that's why I think the PlayStation 5 Pro is going to do very well when it comes out this season. So I just wanted to address that. I got to get that ramble out because I haven't been posting anything in a while, so I do have a couple of thoughts here. Now, let's get back to the post over here with Tim Dog. Now, Play Games Not Plastic on Twitter, he goes on to say, more variety. Can't give you that one, my guy. If you think they're better, then I won't argue that point. It's subjective. I'll point to the RTS, simulators, fighting games, Western RPGs, FPSs out of the first-party Xbox. Those are all genres that Sony doesn't have. Now, really, they don't have simulators. They don't have fighting games. They don't have Western RPGs. Like, what are we doing here? Of course they have those games. Now, someone actually replied, Max Mini, he said, when you factor in the third-party exclusives, the cadence from 2020 has been lopsided heavily. And that's what I said earlier in this video. Sony's first-party games, sometimes it kind of gets a little light. And then they go out and they get third-party games and make it exclusive on their platform. It doesn't matter if they're paying for them. I know it sucks in the war of battle because it seems unfair because you want those games on your platform. And I don't want to say I agree with money hiding the game, but I will say because they're doing this, they have more games on their platform. Now, when we look at the list here, Bleeding Edge. Now, that game was awful. That was from Xbox. Gears Tactics, I thought it was pretty good. Halo Infinite, I liked it. Forza Horizon 5 is awesome. Flight Simulator was good. As Dusk Falls, I guess it's a third-party game that was exclusive on it, but it's not on the PlayStation, so he crossed it out. Same goes with Pentiment, and same goes with Grounded. Now, Pentiment, like I said, that game's really mid for me. Grounded was okay. It's not really a game for me, but I can understand why some people would like it. Hi-Fi Rush, it's now on the PlayStation, so I guess he crossed it off, but it was on Xbox, and it was an Xbox. I don't want to say it was an exclusive. Well, it was a timed exclusive at least. Redfall, which was garbage. Starfield is a good game. Forza Motorsport was pretty good. I thought it could have been better. We're not going to get into that. Now, PlayStation exclusive since 2020. Neo 2, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ghost of Tsushima, The Last of Us 2, Miles Morales, Demon Soul Remake, Astrobot, Sackboy, Destruction All-Stars, that game sucked though, Returnal, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, Kenya Bridge of Spirits, Horizon Forbidden West, Gran Turismo 7, The Last of Us Remake. Now, The Last of Us Remake is kind of a money grab, so, that one could be subjective. God of War, Ragnarok, Forspoken. Now, Forspoken was trash. Final Fantasy 16, Spider-Man 2. Now, Helldivers 2 is kind of cooling off because recently Sony said that you need a PlayStation account in order to play that game on PC, which I feel is really stupid at this point. You already released the game on Steam. The requirements didn't say that you needed a PlayStation account. So this is a big L, and I hope that they reverse course on this, because if they don't, they're really gonna kill all of the goodwill with Helldivers 2. Now, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Rise of the Ronin. Now, Rise of the Ronin is trashy for me. I'm not interested at all. It doesn't look good, doesn't look interesting, doesn't look fun. So we'll just put that out there. And Stellar Blade. Stellar Blade looks amazing. In fact, I'm going to buy Stellar Blade. Now, that's not traditionally the type of game that I like to play, but I've seen so much about it. I started watching videos and I said, you know what? This game actually looks pretty cool. So I will be picking up Stellar Blade in the upcoming week. Now, when you look at that list of games and you compare them, what are you talking about? They have a higher variety of quality titles. Yes, some of these games are stinkers, but some of these Xbox games are stinkers too. Bleeding Edge was a stinker. As Dusk Falls, I couldn't care less for it. Pentiment, I couldn't care less for it. Grounded, I know some people like that game, Grounded. Hi-Fi Rush was a pretty good game. Redfall was awful. You guys know, you guys seen the videos, you guys know my thoughts on Redfall. Starfield was excellent. Forza Motorsport was pretty good. I wish it was better. But Neo 2 was great. Final Fantasy VII Remake was great. Ghost of Tsushima, The Last of Us 2, Miles Morales, are you kidding me? Spider-Man 2, Returnal, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, Kenya Bridge of the Spirits looked fantastic. Now, it was a little bit basic, but it looked good. It wasn't a bad game. Horizon Forbidden West. Now, I don't like the main character of the game. I find Aloy kind of boring, but the game looks fantastic, and it doesn't play bad. Gran Turismo 7, it's a good game. You can't say that game is bad. Now, you can say maybe Forza Horizon 5 is better than it, but you can't say that Gran Turismo 7 is a bad game. God of War Ragnarok, Final Fantasy 16, Helldivers 2, the new Final Fantasy VII Rebirth game, and Stellar Blade. What are we doing here? We have to be honest. And until Xbox fans can be honest, they're going to still take these L's. You have to be honest. Now, I'm not saying that Xbox is a horrible platform. I love the platform. I love that I can play my games on PC that I own on Xbox. I think Game Pass is the best value in gaming. But let's be honest here. PlayStation this generation has produced the better games. They have produced the better peripherals. Even if you don't like PSVR 2, it is pretty dope. And I'll say the reason why PSVR 2 is not doing well is not because it's not good hardware. It's because the price of entry is just too high. And that seems to be the problem with VR. Now, you see on PC, you have the Quest 3. I think it's actually a better headset. Now, it doesn't have some of the features that the PlayStation VR 2 has, such as HDR or eye tracking, but everything else it pretty much does better. And you have more content. You can do mixed reality. I've been doing so much mixed reality on my Quest 3 ever since the Apple device came out. And I gotta say, it's an amazing headset, and I prefer it over my PlayStation VR 2. However, the PlayStation VR 2 is still a great headset. I think it would have been better if it was wireless. But nonetheless, you still have the option on the PlayStation side, if you enjoy VR, to have a headset and enjoy their games. On the Xbox side, you don't have this option. You have to go the PC route. And the bottom line is just right now, I just gotta be honest with you, PlayStation, they have the more attractive ecosystem, and I'm not the only one that thinks this. A lot of gamers think this way. That's why most people have a PlayStation 5 over an Xbox Series X this generation. Now, does this mean that I don't like Xbox and I'm gonna jump to the PlayStation side like Tim? No, I'm still gonna be an Xbox guy. I'm still gonna represent Xbox. I know a lot of you guys don't like that. You're like, oh, this guy's saying good stuff about PlayStation, and he plays on PlayStation. How can you be an Xbox guy? You're a traitor. And I think you guys are losers. I think you need to get a life. I think you can like Xbox, and you can enjoy PlayStation. You can enjoy Nintendo. You can enjoy PC. I've said it many times that the Xbox ecosystem is my preferred ecosystem because I can play my games on the console and I can play my games on the PC. Now, if Sony were to do something like that, perhaps my opinion would change. But until then, I'm loving Game Pass. I think it's the best place to play your games. I think it gives you the most value. And at the end of the day, I think if you're really into gaming, you should own all platforms. And if you don't own a PlayStation, I really do believe that you are missing out. Anyways, I wonder what you guys think about this. I know it was kind of a long rant and I went all over the place, but these are my thoughts. Like I said, I haven't been on the channel for a couple of weeks, so I've been gathering my thoughts, and I see a lot of guys jump on Tim. Like, so what? This guy, he wants to play on PlayStation now. He liked Xbox. He's not for Xbox anymore. He's allowed to do that. And if you're a grown-ass man upset that another man doesn't want to play on Xbox anymore and he wants to try out PlayStation, then I think you got some bigger problems to really worry about. Anyways, let me know what you guys think about all of this. Where do you play your games? Do you play your games on Xbox? Do you play your games on PC, on PlayStation, or on Nintendo? Let me know in the comment section down below. And like I usually say, please like, share, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys on the next one.